This was the most common Chrysler Corporation entry, and depending on the theater that it operated in, it would be heavily modified. We followed the pattern for the North African campaign early in the war against Rommel in the desert. And what they didn't have was a lot of Jeeps then. So they ruggedized their staff cars and used them as field cars. So they had heavier bumpers, bigger tires, and the like, and they carried their gear on. We have recreated an inspection by the General, John Nasty. Notice the scowl. His hero is Patton, and he has his guard, of course, with him. And we have our second lieutenant from the sort of cooperation that existed amongst the Commonwealth nations and the United States. Our second lieutenant, Louise, is from Canada. And we have our adjunct to the adjunct. and we're heavy with staff in terms of what we do. But
thanks. This truck, my great uncle actually purchased it in Connecticut. He had it for a few years. He kept it in very good condition, as you can see. Before he passed away, he passed it along to my father and my grandfather. And I'm the only grandkid that actually wants to drive it, so I'm the only one who knows how. So it's the three of us that get to drive it around. As I said, it's from 1933. It's unrestored. You can kind of tell by the paint job. It's a straight six-cylinder. These were actually literally bulletproof because this was around the time of the Depression. It was before Roosevelt's New Deal, and organized crime was on the rise. So some of the vehicles were actually made to reflect that necessity.
With me being assigned to the China, Burma, India campaign during World War II, and I was an enlisted man at the time, and what took place was they needed pilots. They only took pilots that had college educations, and I didn't have a college education, but they knew I could fly. So what happened was they made me a flight officer. And at that time I was flying glider planes, but they needed someone to fly some transport planes. And that's where I met my sweetheart. I then found out that she was General Arnold's daughter, who was the head of the U.S. Army Air Corps at the time. And so she was in the rear of the plane while I was flying it. We got together, and just recently I gave her a sweetheart bracelet. That took place during World War II. When you had a sweetheart, you gave them a sweetheart bracelet to remember you by. And so you see that I'm driving a Cadillac because General Arnold didn't want his daughter to drive in a Plymouth or a Dodge. All right. He got a hold of a Cadillac and said, okay, I'm assigning you a Cadillac to drive my daughter around at this time during leave.